Coach interviews live from this week's practices. I just Ron Burgundied that one. Gibbe, thank you for including that.
Take it easy on him this week. He's got a big assignment on Sunday afternoon. Ken Carmen is.
Wait, now what did I do?
It says Ken Carmen and Zegura bring you all the action. So I just read it
talking
just
to
as you
yourself
wrote
in
it.
the third person.
Well, you
fine.
made me.
No, it was good.
You made me.
Yeah.
He does have a big assignment.
Big
this
assignment.
weekend.
He's on. Ken Carmen is on the sidelines.
We've had multiple meetings already. We're in preparation.
For real.
He is like, what do I got to do? How do I do this? What's going on? I go, you've done this before. He's like, yeah. I said, it's not rocket science. It's all about timing. You have to be out when they break the huddle.
Yeah.
That's what you need.
Hey, bravo to you and the TV team. Watch the game. Very, very nice telecast.
Thank you.
Everybody
It was fun.
did a really good job. You know that's good when on Monday morning you go to the sports talk shows around town and the Browns preseason telecast is not a topic.
Right. It's like being an offensive lineman.
Yeah, many times it has. I really no reason for it to be a topic other than it was well done.
Well, thank you very much, Jim. I appreciate that. And we certainly had a good time. It was funny you were talking about getting out. The first sideline hit I did, I was quick and concise and got out right as they approached the line of scrimmage, and the producer was like, "Hey, it's TV. You can keep talking." I was like, "That's right.
That's right. It's TV.
Yeah.
You, like,
you don't have to. You don't have to stop
Absolutely.
when they get back there." We know that the head coach is coming to the podium shortly, so this will not be the Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah segment, Jim.
It will be the pregame show.
It'll be just the little appetizer from him. But I just want to talk in general. We've talked a lot about the offense. You mentioned some of the young guys on the defense. Did anybody in the defensive front jump out to you at all?
Tommy Togi, I did. Tommy Togi. In fact, he got his hands on that ball that got tipped over the middle. It looked like Benton almost had the interception. I think that. I think he is what he is, and what he is he's a big body inside that wins on leverage, okay, and can really be destructive. I think he can penetrate, get into the backfield, even get on the quarterback. I really enjoyed watching him play. 93 really kept jumping out at me. I kept seeing him, on plays. I think that the Browns have to score him pretty well.
Yeah, I think the Browns were happy with Tommy Togi. And another guy I know when we talked after the game, Joe Jackson. He just was around the quarterback a lot, it felt like.
Yeah, I thought that he was very good. I thought he was a part of a couple of, great pressures on the quarterback, really a big part of it. I thought he was very good. And, again, a product of a guy that was here last year, was kind of in and out. But on Saturday, he did himself a lot of good, I thought.
Yeah, he led the team according to Pro Football Focus. He had 3 pressures in the game, led the team in that regard. And then here's another guy that I don't know that I started to talk about him a little bit last week because, you'd heard stuff from the coaches that was very positive on him, that in one-on-ones, he was the toughest guy to block, Sheldon Day. And you go and you look at Sheldon Day. He started alongside Billings. When Billings came out, Sheldon Day came out. He didn't go back in. He played 13 snaps. He had a sack on Trevor Lawrence's first drop back, which was a nice move to get to the quarterback, and he looked pretty good. Break here, Gibbe? Is that what you're saying? Or coach not coming? No? All right. Well, Gibbe said a break, so we'll leave it on that. Sheldon Day out like Costanza, out on a high note.
Sheldon Day had a good day.
He had a good day, and good day to you. We will take a quick break. When we come back, the head coach of the Browns, Kevin Stefanski, at the podium. Nathan Zegura and Jim Donovan back here at the Cross Country Mortgage Campus in Berea, and we are waiting momentarily. Head coach Kevin Stefanski heading to the podium. And today the Browns, as I said, the first of 4 days of practice here on campus. Today and tomorrow expected to be light. And then things will obviously ramp right on up for those joint practices Thursday and Friday, Jim.
Yeah, Giants played Saturday against the Jets. They lost 12-7. They have a lot of offensive questions. I mean, they were 31st in the league last year, and it was a real pop gun attack by the time we played them late in the season with Colt McCoy playing quarterback. They had Mike Glennon play quarterback pretty much. He started the game for them on Saturday night. They're kind of like we are protecting injured players. They are protecting Saquon Barkley, but they've got to find some offense. And it really begins with their offensive line.
And aren't they – so you're saying they aren't playing Daniel Jones, I thought I read, right?
He did not play
in the first.
Yeah.
Don't you think that's a guy that needs to play as much as possible?
Yeah, I think the trust factor with their offensive line, though, has
so
them worried.
low.
I think it's really has them worried, Nathan.
Well, I don't know if you saw the comments from their owner when he was asked about why they've had so many offensive line issues. He said, when you whiff every time in free agency and whiff every time in the draft, it makes it hard.
Wow, yeah.
And he used those, we called them multiple whiffs in the draft and free agency. It's a team that on paper has a nice roster on the offensive side of the football. Kenny Golladay they brought in, right? You've got Evan Ingram. You mentioned Saquon Barkley. It's a pretty talented roster. Kadarius Toney they drafted, although he's missed a bunch of time with injury.
Yeah.
It's a roster that makes you say, okay, we've got some skill position players. Why are we not putting this all together here?
Well, I think it really does start with their offensive line. I think the lack of an offensive line and the poor performance by that offensive line drove Eli Manning out of the league. I mean, Eli Manning got just killed behind that offensive line. And, I mean, Eli Manning was the guy that was one of these guys that played every week. I mean, he just got absolutely killed behind that offensive line. And I think it continues. And I think it's something that they really have to find the right guys and the right answer to. And I'm not so sure they have it going into this year. Now, the guy on defense, I think, is it Patrick Graham? Is that the defensive coordinator?
Yes, the new defensive
He did a tremendous job last year with their defense. I mean, they really do fly around. They play good defense.
Yeah.
And I think they were very sound that way. I mean, remember they went into Seattle and got a big win before they played us.
Right towards right by the end of the series. Exactly, it was right before they played us, which was when you knew, hey, we can't take these guys
Don't
lightly.
take these guys lightly, yeah.
And that game actually ended up being a pretty defensive affair. That was one where we really controlled the clock, kept them down there.
That's right.
They went for it on that fourth down early in the game. We got a huge stop and we're able to do
that
what we
was
needed
a
to do.
strange play, remember?
It was a very odd
the field goal.
There was quite a bit about that was rather odd. Yes, you were right about that. All right, head coach Kevin Stefanski is coming shortly here, but we're getting ready, as we said, the Cross Country Mortgage Campus in Berea for the Browns and the Giants, that joint work. And I think we're going to see guys ramp up as we see fans making their way into the grandstands. How excited for you, Ronnie, Grant, Anthony Schwartz, to be able to have an opportunity to see more of those guys? How important is that?
I would really be excited to see Grant Delpit get on the practice field and get on his journey back to becoming, a player for the Cleveland Browns, a player that they have big plans for. So that will be great. Ronnie Harrison, terrific player. Hope that he can stay on the field. When he's on the field, I think Joe Woods can really start to do the things that they want to do. And now you're going to have John Johnson out there. But Delpit, just for him, never mind for us to see him play, but just for him, I think it would be great to see him play. He has a real tough, pained look on his face, too, as he walks, by practice every day to go down to the conditioning part.
It's basically been what he's done since he's been here. He hasn't been able to participate in practice. It was early in training camp last year that he suffered that season-ending injury, and I know he wants to be out there and playing with his teammates. Now, I can tell you from talking to Jeff Howard, the Browns defensive back coach, he is so engaged and asks such great questions. He has been mentally completely engaged, and they've been doing kind of extra walkthroughs after the walkthrough to work on some of those dime and nickel packages to get Grant and to get Ronnie those reps, even though they're not able to be out there. But it looks like today will be a day where they are hopefully able to start getting out there and start doing a little bit more, which will be, I think, great news, not only for them personally, but for this defense. I mean, we could talk about you wouldn't see necessarily stars, but Grant's a guy who would get work in the preseason that you need to get before you put him out there against the Kansas City Chiefs. And we really haven't seen this defense. And, I mean, the other thing is, forget games, we haven't really seen this defense at full strength since maybe day 3 of training camp. And And with Takk McKinley still out, a guy that's a big part of it, every day that goes by, you have to start saying, okay, how do we handle this if we don't get Takk McKinley back? And I'll tell you, you've got Clowney, you've got Miles. Behind that, Cameron Malveau's got 2 sacks. That's the most of anybody in your defensive end room in their NFL careers.
Yeah, right. There aren't many worry spots, at least right now, that have appeared on this roster and on the depth chart, but that would be one of them. If it continues to be the scenario where McKinley is not here, and hopefully he can get back. And I know that we have a little bit of time on our side here, but it does start to get compressed here, that you would want him back. You'd want to be a part of this thing. If he isn't a part of this thing, do they have enough presently here that could pick up that load? I don't know.
I don't know.
As
I said, Cameron Malveau's got the 2 sacks. We know about Porter Gustin, who was with the team last year. He's got 1 career sack, but gave some quality reps. Had that diving interception we've talked about in the game over Pittsburgh in the playoff win. You've got Joe Jackson, who had led the team with 3 pressures in the preseason, but was a guy that, as the season went on, wasn't active, and Cameron Malveau would be.
Right.
So it would be counting on a lot of guys. And look, that's a position where Clowney historically has not played the full complement of games. Miles has missed for a variety of reasons sometime in his first 3 years in the league. And so that's why having that third guy was so important. Not to mention Takk McKinley, I think, based on what we saw out here and knowing how they want to run this defense in passing situations, was going to be really important to what we did.
Yeah, and, while he was out here, and it wasn't long, even in the practices that he was here, I mean, he was not feeling well when he would leave the practice field, and it was pretty quickly. But he was flying around. Really flying around. I just want to ask you one thing now. With Stephen Carlson going out at tight end, what will they do there? They have the 3 tight ends that they used last year, and Carlson was the 4th. They have Jordan Franks and Connor Davis that both ended up playing a lot because Carlson went out of the game. I'm wondering what they would do. Would they only carry the 3 tight ends?
I think that's possible to free up another spot. I think that
do they
would
like either one of those 2 guys?
Jordan Franks, I think, has made an impression. I think for Jordan Franks to solidify any chance of being on the roster, he's a guy who's been, he's been with Philly, he's been with Cincy, he's got a couple catches in the NFL, 2 career catches for 37 yards. They like him. They like his movement skills, but he is going to have to be at Steve Carlson's level as a special teams performer if he wants to solidify his roster spot. So I think that's going to be critical for him here in the next couple of weeks, is to show that he can do that. Otherwise, they might have to look outside the building for a tight end. Or, to your point, they could go with 3 early in the season and try to carry,
it would open up the door for somebody else.
Right, could carry a 5th safety who's going to be a special teams guy. It could, whether that's – let's think about the safety room now. You've got John Johnson, you've got Ronnie, you've got Grant. Sheldrick Redwine is a player that is very well liked in this building and has played well for you, and just entering his 3rd season. A guy who certainly has shown promise.
Yeah.
He's banged up right now. LeCounte
had a great game.
Was your draft pick this year and had a great game and put himself on the map. They've liked what they've gotten from Javonte Moffitt as well. But, you would think typically you'd carry 4. Maybe you carry 5 safeties. And we've got – do we have the head coach now?
Yes, we do.
Kevin Stefanski at the podium.
Who do you think are getting back today? Will Miles be out there?
I think Grant, Ronnie, Anthony Schwartz, So, and with everybody, we're just trying to make sure that we're smart. As you know, the guys that maybe aren't practicing are getting a ton of work inside. So we're just going to make sure that we're smart about all these guys.
Matt, did you dodge something significant there? Is this not a big deal?
I'd say all those injuries are big deals. But yeah, I think we dodged it long term. But he's gonna work hard, and hopefully we see him sooner than later.
Is Jadeveon back today?
We'll rest Jadeveon.
And it's been a week now. Is there something specific bothering him?
With all these guys, they have things that are bothering them, and we're working through it.
How about Denzel Ward? He's been this would be like 10 days.
Yeah.
Is he still sore?
He's working really hard. Just was running after this, so we're getting close.
Is the goal for those guys to be available for the Giants practices?
Tony, honestly, you'd love to have all those guys available today, but just want to be smart about it. So specifically to those Giants practices, we'll see when they're ready. They're ready.
How you decide who plays Sunday, is that going to be dictated at all by what happens Thursday and Friday, or are you going to determine that ahead of time?
We'll wait until we get through Thursday and Friday to make the determinations.
Do you think your starters need to play in any of the preseason? Well, you only have 2 left. Do they need to play in one of these 2 games?
I think, Jeff, like we talked about, we'll make determinations based on every individual player as we get going in these next couple games. But that's something that is ongoing conversations.
What's the contingency, heaven forbid, if it rains Thursday and Friday?
Tony, don't say that. Don't try and speak it into existence there. We have contingency plans, but we're hoping that doesn't happen.
Go to the stadium?
That's not one of the things we talked about, but obviously we'd love for it to be safe out here for both teams.
With some of the guys who are home out, we ask you about them every day, but are some of these cases where if you had a game tomorrow, they'd be able to go, you're just being maybe a little overly cautious?
Yeah, I want to say we're being appropriately cautious. I just want to make sure that we're doing the right thing by each player. And as you know, Dan, we're treating each player specifically to their condition and what they need.
Any of those young defensive ends that have gotten these extra reps, if any of them caught your eye?
Yeah, Zach, I tell you, all those guys played. We got some really good reps from them. They played really hard. There were a ton of passing situations where they could rush the passer and try to disrupt the quarterback. So I wouldn't single any one guy out. I just tell you, I was really pleased with how they came off the ball and were constantly working their technique.
We talked to Davian Davis earlier. You're so deep at wide receiver. What's he going to have to do to get a spot on this team?
I think Davion has to do whatever a young player is doing right now, Jeff. I think they got to show up, be professional about their job, be attentive in those meeting rooms, put some great work out here together with their teammates on the field, and really that's all they can control. And I think Davion's a great example of a young player who's just going to control the things that he can control.
What's your message ahead of these Giants practices to your guys about finding that balance between intensity and maybe going too far?
I've talked about it with a few of the guys. I'll talk with the entire team about it as we get closer to it. Really, Scott, it's not any different than when we're out here today and how we've been out here. We get some really good work in, and we take care of each other, and it's because we respect each other. So it's no different when the Giants come in here. They're our guests, and we want to make sure that we work hard, and we compete against each other, but we're always going to be taking care of each other and making sure that it's a safe, controlled environment.
When you look around the league, it feels like there's fights when these things happen. Does that seem inevitable to you, that there's going to be guys going at it?
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's inevitable. I think it's, incumbent upon both teams and the veterans on those teams to make sure that they understand that it's a work trip. We got 2 days of practice versus the Giants. We're playing them on Sunday, and both teams are looking forward to getting some good work in.
Does it concern you they've already shown willingness to fight each other in practice coming in here?
No, I'm worrying about the Cleveland Browns.
Davian Davis's game, is that the biggest argument for continuing to have preseason games to give a guy like him?
Yeah, Tony, I think it's a great opportunity for those guys, young players, sophomores, getting in a room. And you can only get so many out here. So to see all those guys get plenty of reps the other night was awesome, and we're looking forward to doing that again with these guys. I mean, they need to play, and then give opportunities for them to show what they can do.
Since Tony already jinxed the weather for this week, I mean, there's no way you could go indoors, right?
Probably not for. We'd have to think about it. Yeah.
I'm curious what the contingency would even be.
Yeah, talk to Callie. That's what I would tell you. Yeah.
Does Steven get a knee surgery? And what about Ryan Switzer?
Steve Carlson?
Yeah.
Yes, and Ryan Switzer is also undergoing surgery.
Did Ryan's happen after that touchdown?
I'm not entirely sure.
And does Carlson's injury have you rethink a fourth tight end or the plan to compete for a fourth spot?
Yeah, I think all these spots, Tony, when you look up and down the roster, I mean, there's battles for all these spots. So obviously you take a good player like Steve out of the mix, unfortunately. It opens up opportunities for other guys to see if they can go grab that spot.
You use tight ends more than anybody in the league, or at least last year. Do you need 4 tight ends for your offense? Are you comfortable going with 3?
I think we'll see how it all shakes out, and I think it's our job to put the best players on the field and play to the strengths of your team. But ultimately, Andrew and his staff, along with the coaches, will make those determinations down the road.
Kevin, we told us early in camp that everything you run is scripted, and we know what days you're working on. Have you had any major deviations through camp from anything you need to focus on or see?
We really haven't. No, we've tried to plan this out. We'll make minor alterations here or there if we need to see extra work in a specific area. But all in all, this is kind of how we planned it.
Assume no tackle to the ground for the Giants?
Correct.
Good.
All right. Thanks, guys.
You're up.
All right, that's head coach Kevin Stefanski. We'll react to that. Some nice news in there as well. And we'll go ahead and we'll talk about it right now. Big news to me, anyway, is that Grant, Ronnie, and Anthony Schwartz will be back today in some capacity for the Browns, and I think those are guys that we all wanted to see more so than Ronnie, Grant, and Anthony Schwartz, because they're the young players. They're the young players who need to get reps to be a part of this team in a meaningful way.
Yeah, and it was interesting. Even the other night, the coach was talking about, I think it might have been Sunday afternoon, he was talking about Schwartz. And he was just talking about that speed, and that speed, and we want to be able to get that out on the field. So they're excited, I think, to get him out on the field. He's been kind of lost to all of us because he hasn't been on the field. But to that coaching staff, as you said, they have their thumb on everything. They have been intrigued. They want to get that out there.
Yeah.
They love Felton. There's no doubt about it. But Schwartz is a guy that's got, now mind you, everybody, he's got world-class speed. And they want to be able to see that and what they can do with it. And the only way to see it is to get him out there. So they were excited even on Sunday afternoon. I think they had the inkling that they were going to get him on the field.
And they were excited about that because that speed, not only does it help you in the pass game create space with the speed that he has vertically, horizontally, and you mentioned earlier, and you were right on the money. That's what they want to use JoJo Natson, some of that jet motion, and to stretch things horizontally, not just vertically. And that creates, guess what, bigger running lanes for guys like Nick Chubb. It just creates something where linebackers have to at least take a step, or the nickel has to flare out with that jet motion. You only have to hit it with it a couple times, show it a couple times to get the effect that you want. But look, this guy has world-class speed. There will not be a cornerback in the NFL who would have him in any type of one-on-one coverage vertically. So if they're playing cover 3, if they're playing man on the outside with no safety over the top, who is not afraid to be roasted by him on a go route.
It's too bad. The other night, Natson had gotten free on a ball down in front of the Browns bench on a route that he was going to score. The ball was just
a little underthrown.
Yeah. There were a couple of balls that were a little underthrown that I thought floated a couple of times where guys had separation and were there. I think Donovan Peoples-Jones had separated, and there was a ball that he fought for, and the ball got raked out. But it got raked out because it was just a tick underthrown.
Yeah, he had a good step on that.
They had some plays, they had some plays that were open. They had separation. Now with Schwartz, they should have separation. They should have separation all the time.
He should be by a wide margin. I mean, you go back and you watch the tape of his play against LSU, where I think it was a 93-yard touchdown.
Right.
And these guys playing for LSU were pretty good, and he just blew by them. He was 10 yards clear by the time that he caught the ball on that one. So that's good news. Now, interesting, we haven't heard, he has not shown up on an injury report, Jadeveon Clowney.
Right.
But you heard right there Coach Stefanski saying, all these guys are working through something because it has been a week. Also, no mention of Tack McKinley. It sounds like Miles will continue to be out. So he got an opportunity to single out a defensive end that he liked the performance of. He declined to say anybody, and so the competition remains on with Porter and Malveaux and Jackson and Curtis Weaver.
We were talking with somebody on Saturday night pregame that knew Jadeveon Clowney very, very well from the Houston years, and that person said they couldn't believe, in talking with him right now, and they've talked with him a number of times since he came to Cleveland, they couldn't believe how happy he is here. He is really happy.
Loves it here.
Really, really excited to be a part of this, football-wise, and the whole culture of the Browns. I think he looks at this, and this is why one of the big reasons why he came here, looks at this as a tremendous opportunity to reach the place where he wants to be in his career, and that's going all the way, right?
Yeah, he has an opportunity for
right?
great team goals. He has
There's
an opportunity.
Guy.
Drew Forbes.
Forbes
it's the safest bet in America.
Yeah.
It is the safest bet in America that Drew Forbes will be the first guy out here on the practice field. Coach Tarver, typically also the first coach, the linebackers coach, making his way out. But, with Clowney, he is happy, and that's one of those rare situations for a player of his caliber that – his ultimate team goal and his ultimate personal goals can be very much in alignment here. He's never had a double-digit sack season. That's very much in play this season for him. He's got a chance to win a Super Bowl as well.
Oh, yeah, and I think, that's the first reason he came here. But the second reason, and maybe equally so, is that it's just a really good environment here.
Great.
I mean, everybody realizes it. You talked about the assistant coaches, how happy they are to be here, how content they are to be here, how they realize it could be a launching pad for their career. But while they're here, for however long that is, this is a really good situation that they have here. And I think Clowney certainly figures into that too. This person said, couldn't believe how happy he was. He was a totally different guy, than he was in Houston.
And I think that's music to a lot of people's ears. Guys who are happy are guys who play oftentimes better than those who are malcontents. And I think you've got the talent of a Jadeveon Clowney. You've got the talent of a Myles Garrett on that line. But, I think this week here, every day, as I said, that we go by without Tack is a day where I think you have to contemplate a future that unfortunately might not involve him. And so this is a huge week for these defensive ends. That's the thing you mentioned. If you talk about this roster top to bottom,
right,
and we have too many safeties right now. We've got too many wide receivers. We've got too many, honestly, guys on the offensive line. Bill Callahan thinks we have 6 guards that are capable of starting in the National Football League. 6.
Yeah.
And around the league, you can't get offensive line depth.
Yeah.
We may have, too many running backs. We're just talented in a lot of places. Linebacker, definitely we have too many linebackers, too many defensive tackles. But defensive end is a position where all of a sudden, when you start envisioning scenarios that are maybe not so good, that's one where you could get derailed in a hurry, where the backup talent is not like it is at other spots.
Right, and you felt like you had solved it, I think, in free agency right away. They got McKinley, and then got a great gift when Clowney came here, and they had the deal with Clowney done to go along with the younger players that they knew they were going to feed through the system anyway. But I think they felt they were in good shape, really great
very
shape,
good
right?
shape.
We wouldn't look at that and think it was a position of concern, and now it's a position of concern. Now, let's face it, everybody, there are a lot of teams out there, like the one we played on Saturday night, that have 6 or 7 areas where they are struggling and they have questions about. But this is one right here that I think we have to keep our eye on for the Browns. And hopefully one of these other guys is going to pop out and continue to play well. But the ideal situation would be to get McKinley back.
Yeah, to get everybody back that you want to be. All right, coming up, hour number 2, we're going to kick things off with a little roundtable. Nathan Zegura, Andrew Gribble, Jim Donovan, the voice of the Browns. Have a little roundtable talking about the Browns, the Jacksonville game, looking forward. We got that. Still, we also have a one-on-one with Browns safety Richard LeCounte at 2:30. He will be joining the program, exclusive one-on-one with one of the stars of the preseason opener. I think he's a guy that you are going to like when you hear this kid. A very likable, passionate young man. So that's all to come here. The Browns starting to make their way onto the field right now. We've got Drew Forbes. We've got Coach Tarver and Robert Jackson on the field as well for the Cleveland Browns, getting their work in practice again in about 30 minutes here at the Cross Country Mortgage Campus. We'll be back with more Cleveland Browns Daily right after this. Injuries during childbirth require experienced counsel. Call the lawyers at Elk & Elk for a clear answer as to what happened during your child's birth. Elk & Elk, proud partner of the Cleveland Browns. Call 1-800-ELK-OHIO. Nathan Zegura, the voice of the Cleveland Browns. Jim Donovan and Sir Andrew Gribble, Cleveland Browns senior staff writer, sideline reporter extraordinaire from down in Jacksonville with us. Plus, we see Malik McDowell walking out with the helmet. That's a nice sign as well. Right. He's somebody that the coaches very much wanted a chance to get a look at. But, guys, we're going to do a little roundtable, have a little fun, and we're going to start right now. Are we getting any traveling music, Gibby? You want any traveling music for this roundtable? Is it too long? No? Kim says no. Let's not have any music. Let's just go ahead.
Not until the Giants arrive. Everything happens on Thursday.
Yeah. That's when we're going to get real production elements from Gibbe. Right now, he's still basking in the glow of a successful broadcast.
I don't need anything overshadowing the three of you and the dialogue that people are tuning in for the next 20 minutes.
Flattery will get you far, Gibbe.
The background music really gets my takes going, though.
It
gives
takes
you
up
another degree.
It's a little
Nick,
energy.
do you want to give him a little travel?
Yeah, there we go, the round table.
Yeah.
All right, we will begin our round table with actually nothing that is round table-ish. It is just a little fact from around the league. The Tim Tebow experiment has come to an end down in Jacksonville. As many may have predicted, it has come to an end, but good for him. Got to go to a fantasy camp and have a great time.
Yeah. You know what that scene went his last vision on the NFL, that awful attempt at blocking. That reminds me, and I'm going to go way back in time, black and white movie, Jackie Gleason, Anthony Quinn. The movie was Requiem for a Heavyweight, where Anthony Quinn was a great fighter and then all of a sudden had to go into wrestling and become a character in wrestling, and it was really sad to see how he had fallen. And I think that's
a little fall from
that
grace.
Reminded me of that movie. I mean, I know that that's a long time ago. I'm showing my age, but it was very applicable.
I think I was really surprised at how little he played on Saturday. I thought they'd get him out there a little bit more. Like,
I think they knew.
But they had to know this was the last ride. Like, there's a lot of. I mean, on our walk from the press box to the field, I saw 3 people wearing Jaguars Tim Tebow jerseys and 2 people wearing Florida.
And they were selling them all over the place. Yeah. They were in every concession store. Yeah. Tebow 85s.
What will he do next? Will he
go back to college
They'll
broadcasting?
give him that job right back.
Of course they would.
Sure.
Cousin Sal, who I enjoy for his comedy and gambling advice, had a very nice parting shot. He said, "Feel free to say whatever you want about Tim Tebow on Twitter. It's not like he's going to block you." Oh, the Cuz cutting deep. Cuz is a great friend of the program. Been on many times. His book, by the way, is tremendous. I would highly recommend anybody picking it up because you'll be laughing out loud. All right, time now for the round table. You can kick up the music, get Gribbs fired up here. And we'll start with him. Gribbs, the most impressive part of Saturday's win in Jacksonville was?
Well, I just thought overall it was just the clean, efficient operation that the Browns went down and conducted in Jacksonville. Win or loss, it didn't matter. They just ran a smooth game, very few penalties, no turnovers, and it was really two different teams at 2 very different stages of their development, and it was made more clear when you saw the way Jacksonville's going through the same things we went through a few years ago, and I think it just became more evident when you saw it on the field for the first time this season.
It's so nice not to be on that side of the going through these things. It's nice to be on the other side. Jim, most impressive part for you?
Well, I agree with what Andrew said, because the visions of an opening regular season game that year against Tennessee, where there were 21 penalties in a regular season game, 18 of them accepted. I mean, that can happen, and we're a long way from that. I think the play of every one of the rookies out of the rookie class, which I was very interested in seeing. I went down to the game on Saturday saying, how are they really going to be able to play? I mean, to put these kids out there and to not have any of the starters, how will they be able to play? And gosh, they all played so well in their own way. I mean, they all had really exceptional opening nights, and I hope they're not one-hit wonders. I don't think that they are, but that rookie class looked tremendous. And the sophomore class didn't look bad either.
No, it was great to see the young guys. Most impressive part of Saturday's win in Jacksonville for me was a 20-play, 89-yard touchdown drive that chewed up over 10 minutes of a preseason clock. By the way, a drive that was called and orchestrated and authored by Browns tight end coach Drew Petzing.
Good for him. Wow.
How about that?
How about that? Good for him.
Good for him. Yeah, I said, listen, if you're going to do that, I want you calling every preseason game.
Did he have 20 plays lined up for himself?
He didn't know it was going to be quite so long. He said,
Man.
I just kept digging to the well, but he was very pleased that the third down that he dialed up that play for Ryan Switzer, and the Hoff actually on the television broadcast, which I know you just watched, he Romo'd that one. He said, watch for Ryan Switzer breaking in the middle over here out of that bunch, and touchdown, Hofstradamus, they called him.
That was a quick decision, wasn't it? I mean, that ball just came out, boom, he was open, boom, touchdown.
Touchdown, Browns.
Unfortunately, he's hurt.
Yeah, and coach said he's going to have surgery on that foot. So
wow.
Yeah.
When did he get hurt? Was it before that? Was he?
I don't know.
Did he go down on? Did he go down on a kickoff after that?
I don't know. There wasn't much plays after that. I mean, that's the thing. You wonder when it could have happened. I mean, those are the things that maybe the next day you're like, wow, this hurts.
That's too bad.
It is too bad because just a trying off season for him and his family, which fortunately at this point feels like it has a very happy ending, and got out there and got into the end zone, which was great to see for Ryan Switzer. All right, question number two. After watching the product on the field, which group is further along, the offense or the defense? Jim Gibbe, though, I feel like you're trying to create division here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it feels like we're pitting Brown against Brown. I don't like it. Go ahead, Jim.
Well, I mean, for the people that played in the game, I'm going to say I was amazed at how the defense played. I thought that they were tremendous, and I thought that they were in position. I thought every grouping played very, very well. Individually, they played well. I thought they got pressure. I thought they handled the run pretty well. I thought they handled situations well. I think they got off the field on third down a couple of times. I'm going to say I was really thrilled to see the way they played defense. I just didn't see that, hey, listen, we're going to bend and maybe break a little bit, but not totally. I'm kind of glad that wasn't apparent on Saturday.
We even got a fourth down stop, Jim.
That's right.
Last year it was like fourth down. Why even bother? Just go ahead and get first down.
See,
right.
I was going to go with the offense here because I think that a lot of the offense was sitting out of just because you weren't playing your starters. And I think with this defense right now, you've got a bunch of guys that are dealing with some nagging injuries, and you've got some new faces. And I just think with the offense, we saw what that second group could do, especially that second offensive line, which was just outstanding. And I think that knowing that we saw that from the second group, you have to imagine the first group that is all coming back, all pretty healthy right now as well, that they're in great shape. I think defensively, we just need to see it a little bit more with the guys who are going to be out there on Sundays.
Yeah.
And
but the scheme looked good.
Right, scheme looked great. It's just that we have to see these guys at some point be together on the practice field, and it just hasn't happened.
You weren't here earlier in the show, and I asked Nathan. I thought a couple of times because I think, what did they averaged like a yard per carry, 1.5.
That was going to be my knock on the offense.
Let me just ask you this. I thought there were a couple of times where the running back made the wrong cut.
Yeah. I think so too, and I just think that it didn't seem like a big of a point of emphasis as it would be when you got Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt back there. I feel like they adjusted the game plan a little bit to accommodate to that.
You know, Nathan, I will say this: a guy you brought out, Dearness Johnson does what Dearness Johnson does. He would be hard to knock off the roster. He's a terrific player.
The trust. He's
the
just
trust.
trusted.
That's right.
He's trusted to run it. He's trusted to catch it.
Yeah.
The big play to Felton doesn't happen unless he goes in there, sticks his face in, and makes a tremendous
block. Yeah,
and
that's a great block.
And then he's a great special teams guy. Yeah. I mean, Prefer loves him. So I love Dearness Johnson, and I think he's a guy that, you think about his evolution. I remember interviewing him right off the practice field the first year that he was in camp, fresh off the fishing boat and running those fishing charters down in Florida. And he was just so happy to be here, and now he carries himself 100% on the bus, even on the like somebody who belongs and is a legitimate. He reminds me of a guy that was here many, many years ago in Raheem Mostert. And what I mean by that is, first of all, when Raheem Mostert was let go, to say that it was contentious, a contentious release would be an understatement. But Raheem Mostert's a guy that everybody knew had talent, but he was kind of behind other guys who had a lot of talent and who were getting the playing time. And then he ends up in San Francisco with Kyle again, reunited, who was ironically here in 2014. And then he gets to shine and is a guy who, has 1,000 yards and rushes for a couple hundred yards in a playoff game. Yeah. I think Dearness Johnson has that kind of talent, and we're lucky to have him here in the event that he were ever needed.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think anywhere else he might be your number two guy.
I agree with you.
And I think it's kind of like the situation you have with your backup quarterback in Case Keenum, who he's not under 32. He's within the top 32 quarterbacks in the league. He's good enough to start elsewhere, and I think Dearness Johnson's in the same boat.
Yeah, and that's part of this depth. This one's going to be tough for Jim. Give me the player not named Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. Give me this. I feel like this was a personal question.
Yeah, that was a trick.
Yeah, who helped himself the most Saturday night. And why? Just hear a little spoiler for you, Jim. Feel free to just ignore his rules and say, I want to talk about him anyway right here.
I do want to talk about him because I just thought he was amazing all night long. But I will play by format here.
Oh, that's why he's a legend. That's why he's a legend.
I thought that I was excited. I know that they were excited, and obviously by how much he played. I was excited to see Demetric Felton play, and I can see what they like in him and what intrigues them with him. And I think that he is a pretty exceptional player. You could do a lot of things with him, and I thought he helped himself a great deal on Saturday night.
I'm doing a little teaser for your interview, Nathan. I'm going with Richard LeCounte.
Oh,
very happy
synergy.
Yeah.
Synergy.
He played a lot. He made the most of it. I think he was the highest graded player per PFF.
He was.
And again, it's preseason, so take it with a grain of salt. But he makes an interception. Should have had 2 interceptions.
Yeah.
He just was flying all over the place, and this was a big opportunity at a safety position that's getting a few guys back today. But if you're Richard LeCounte, you're looking at that 4th safety spot, and knowing you're a 5th-round pick, you're guaranteed nothing. That you've got to make an impression. I think he put himself in the right direction. A guy we really haven't talked about much up until Saturday, and I think now he's someone who you got to believe has a really good shot.
He was a very highly credentialed player pre-injury in college, right?
Yes.
Yep.
I mean, he
First
was a
team
very,
All-SEC.
Yeah,
5-star recruit out of high school.
5-star recruit, yeah. I mean, when they got him, when he went to Georgia, I mean, they were pretty excited down there to get him. So, I mean, this is not a flash in the pan.
No, and Urban was the one recruiting him, right?
Yeah.
That would have been, and so he got to go against him, and as he told Gribbs, I just don't lose in Jacksonville. The first game he missed after his accidents, by the way, was the biggest tailgate party in the world down
Florida
there.
game.
And that's the only time in his 4 years there that Florida defeated Georgia. So, as I told him, I said, maybe you were the key all along. They couldn't do it without Richard LeCounte. I would agree. I think Richard LeCounte helped his stock, and I would say Kyle Lauletta really helped his stock, which transitions us into our next question. Do you think the Browns will carry 3 quarterbacks on their roster this season? Can you hide one on the practice squad? Do you need 3 in the event that someone tests positive for COVID? This is a 3-question in 1 question. And Gribbs, will start with you. Do they carry 3 quarterbacks?
I mean, I think with the new flexibility with the rosters, you don't necessarily have to have 3 on the active. You just need 3 on campus at some point. So, and that's the tricky part with the practice squad. Is you can have them on the practice squad, but at any point they're vulnerable. Though you can also issue those protections on the practice squad.
But there's a day each week where they're not protected.
Right, they're unprotected one day a week.
And you'd have to cut him. You'd have to expose him to somebody saying, actually, let's get Kyle Lauletta in our program after what we've seen, if he keeps that up. Now,
but they've got to keep him active for a few weeks.
They would have for 3 weeks to bring him in. But I'm saying if they wanted to bring him in, if he has another couple games like we saw, someone would take a shot on him. That was now if he hasn't his next performance is not – if it's more like what we've seen at the cross-country mortgage campus, some up, some down, then it could be a different scenario.
I just think it's tough. When you got a roster like this, it's really tough. And I think that there's been a lot of teams that have gone back and forth with the philosophy on 3 quarterbacks. I mean, it's just who do you make room for? I mean, I think it might come down to injuries when you get down to the 53.
Yep.
And again, you need a couple more performances like we saw Saturday because he was very good.
He was very good.
He was
I
excellent.
have to tell you, he was excellent in the game. It totally surprised me at the way he played. I mean, I didn't know what he was going to play like. I've seen him out here, and at times it's been a little underwhelming, but he was really accurate. He ran the team well, and I know the coach is always very, very tuned into how he gets them out of the huddle and get them up to the line of scrimmage, and I thought he got them up there. I thought he ran things very, very well for them. Great 2-minute drill, right at the end of the half, got him into the end zone. I mean, I thought he played very, very well.
But like we were talking about the dangers of losing him, I mean, that's how the Browns lost Garrett Gilbert last year.
Yeah, and he's now the backup down in Dallas, and currently the starter in Dallas says Dak Prescott. No need for alarm. Having another MRI. Nope. Nothing to see here. No big deal.
Everything's okay.
Everything's just fine. By the way, Jim, you were talking about the operation and how they get in and out of the huddle, and I brought up the story you shared with me from the Browns.
The mic'd up segment.
The season-long video with Coach Stefanski. Do you remember what you said to Baker after he threw that touchdown? He goes, no. I said, great job getting him out of the huddle.
Excellent operation getting them in and out of the huddle.
And he just laughed. He goes, yeah, sounds about it.
It was great.
Look, one thing I do want to say is, and I love our fans and the passion and the enthusiasm that they have, but the notion that what we saw in Jacksonville somehow makes Case Keenum expendable right now, I think we could maybe just pump the brakes a little bit. He's a very valuable piece of what we're doing, not only in the event that you need him, a guy who's been to the NFC Championship game with Kevin Stefanski in Minnesota back in 2017, but what he does in the meeting room, and Baker's even said how he helps him prepare and be the best quarterback he can be.
It's and just the way he operated. I know his numbers weren't as good as Lauletta's, and they didn't get touchdowns, but it was just so smooth watching that
really
offense.
Was,
I mean, like
yeah.
they just took what Jacksonville gave them, moved right down the field. It didn't look like a backup running the offense. I mean, it looked like your guy, and it didn't matter who's on the field with him. It seemed like he was comfortable using all these guys.
Well, and I think when you have a guy like that, and you're playing younger players, which is what they did Saturday night, there's a sense of calmness that you have a guy at the most important position that's going to get you into the right play, and he's going to distribute the ball, and it gave that coaching staff the opportunity to see the players that they were most interested in seeing going into the game, which in this case, that was a very high number of people that they wanted to see. I thought he was terrific.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Yes, they were. All right, what's more important for this week in the development of this team, the joint practices against the Giants or Sunday's game against the G-Men?
I think we are in a position right now, thankfully so. I think it's the two practices. I think they get their work in.
Couldn't agree more.
I think they get their work in on Thursday and Friday against this team, probably good hard work. And I think Sunday becomes maybe like last Saturday night against Jacksonville. You just go in, you're going to get a look at a lot of other players, younger players once again, see them in a home game, give them the opportunity to play at First Energy Stadium. I talked to Kareem Hunt. He's going to be on the television show tonight. He said, man, Saturday night was a tremendous tease. And it was a personal tease because I am counting the days until Kansas City, Arrowhead Stadium, which gave me an indication maybe that's when they're going to play. So he might have let the cat out of the bag.
I got a feeling.
Look at number 10's on the field.
There he is with the helmet on. Grant Delpit, number 22 is out there. 33, Ronnie Harrison is out there as well, which is great to see for the Browns. But we rode a couple of buses with Kareem, and you got the sense that he enjoyed the ability to fly down to Jacksonville, but he wants to be playing.
He wants to
that's
play.
That's what he makes him happy, and yeah.
I will say I want to reach a point in my career where I get to experience what those starters got to experience.
You said they had a great time.
They were just like, it looked like the best time ever. Like being on
Joe Antonio had a great time.
The most relaxed. Like
yeah.
I don't know if I've ever achieved that point of relaxation.
No,
it just looks so like great, like to achieve that level of excellence.
There was a great shot of Mayfield Baker after the sack of Lawrence on the first play of the game, where the camera caught him and he just kind of went, gave the thumbs up. I mean, that was a Kodak moment. It really was. So I think you're right. I think they had a good time. I know they want to play.
Oh, yeah.
But they took it for what it was worth. It was a deserved night off.
And it was cool to see Jarvis and Odell be so excited for Davion Davis.
That was cool.
And
it reminded me of when she and Giuseppe scored that touchdown on the return, and the entire team went running down into the end zone. Yeah, that was really pretty cool.
That might be a top 10 all-time Browns preseason moment. Like, I think it would be hard. That was so much fun. That beats quarterback stepping out of the back of the end zone inadvertently. I mean, we've got a lot of not-so-great preseason moments, but he won in the emotion of it and his story, and it was nuts.
Yeah. You're right.
He was on Good Morning America the next day.
That's right. Yeah. I remember that there were a string of interviews for him. It was almost like he had won an Olympic gold medal.
Uh-huh.
I mean, there were a string of interviews the next day. You couldn't get near him, right? You couldn't get near him.
Couldn't even access him. All right. What do you want to see from the team this week against the Giants? These are Gibbe's words, not mine. You may not say stay healthy. Gribbs?
I mean, I just want to see more of what we're seeing. I think that you want to handle your business against a team that I think is going to be pretty good this year. I think the Giants are going to be contending in the NFC East because I think they're trending in the right direction, especially defensively.
Yeah.
So I think I'm a little more focused on the offense because I think the Giants' defense is legit. And I want to see what they can accomplish and what kind of good work they can get in because, like you mentioned, I think the game on Sunday maybe not expecting some of these top guys to play, so I want to see them do well on Thursday and Friday.
I would be interested. I agree with you, and I would be interested to see the running game open up just a little bit more. where it becomes comfortable for them and successful for them, and they kind of manage a drive on the ground, because everything was managed through the air. And you take what you get. But I would think that the running game, if they could get a little bit more success in that and pop a couple of runs, that would be encouraging.
I'd like to see that, too. And remember, this is a good front. I mean, Leonard Williams, Dexter Lawrence, both first-round picks. Danny Shelton now a member of the Giants, also a first-round pick in the middle of that defense. And I like their secondary. Bradbury's been one of the best corners in the league the last couple of years. They brought in Adoree Jackson, a former first-round pick. They've got Logan Ryan. They've got Jabril. They got Xavier McKinney, who they drafted in the second round a year ago out of Alabama. So I think this is a good – and Azeez Ojulari, the guy that a lot of us liked in this draft process out of Georgia, a teammate of Richard LeCounte. He will be in that one as well. So
Georgia had quite a secondary.
They're loaded.
Loaded.
SEC is loaded. These guys that come out of the SEC.
It's unreal.
It is.
I mean, you see the amount of Georgia players in the NFL year after year, and
you say, why don't they win national titles?
That's what I was about to say. That's the reason why Georgia fans end up being so frustrated.
Yeah. How do we not get it done? All right. Final question. Actually, we got two more questions. Final serious question. Would you play the starters on Sunday if they were all active Thursday and Friday in the joint practices? Me? No. Hard no.
Yeah, I'm going with you. I think that, and I'll trust the direct. I think that's probably what it would be a safe bet. Just seeing the way this is going in the league. I mean, the Browns weren't the only team that dressed their guys the way they did on Saturday, and it's probably going to keep going. Especially you see some of the younger coaches following that path as well.
I was of the opinion that I wanted to see them play. I have done a complete reversal on that, and I don't need to see them play. I think that I trust this coaching staff so much that I think they know what they're doing, and I think they definitely have a plan in place. And I just want to see them healthy and ready to go on September 12th, and I trust that staff will have them ready. Without playing. I don't think they need to play.
Both.
I don't think they need to go at all.
Agreed. And then the final one, this is just more of a fun question. Whose travel attire, and I think there's only one answer, impressed you the most on the trip down to Jacksonville?
I think it's Malik Jackson.
Yeah, that's right. That is the answer. He had, folks, Malik Jackson was wearing an orange headscarf that looked like it was a fine silk. It had, was that a little paisley pattern in it? It was, I've never seen anything like it in all my years traveling with the National Football League team, and
Malik is the best.
Best.
I mean, just an awesome guy. Another guy that was having a blast on the sidelines. I mean, just another guy that was enjoying what he was seeing from his teammates, and just, I think, a guy that's earned a lot of respect really quickly.
I was going to say, how about a guy that's come in and just fit right into this line? I mean, you haven't heard one even average thing about Malik Jackson. All the reviews have been glowing just about what he's doing in the locker room, what he does on the field.
Right. Well, I saw him, too. I saw him walk in when we were waiting to leave there on Sunday, and I saw him walk into the meal room as we were tucked over at our table, and he was like the favorite of every table.
Yeah.
I mean,
he was working the room.
Really, I'm telling you, I know there's like 7 people running for mayor of Cleveland right now. If he entered in today, I think people would like him because his teammates love him. I mean, he visited every table.
Yeah.
He just really liked him.
He was working the room.
He was working the room.
Yeah, listen, Sunday morning pre-travel, some people are calling it Smoothie Gate. Others, they're not. Who knows? But we will be back. What I do know is we'll be back with Richard LeCounte next in our exclusive one-on-one on Cleveland Browns Daily. If you live and breathe football, you know sometimes keeping your priorities straight can be a challenge. Unfortunately, the same can be true when you gamble. If you find your gambling is affecting other parts of your life, we can help. Get tips on responsible gambling at keepitfunohio.com. Browns going through their positional drills right now, and I got some really good news. Malik McDowell back, Grant Delpit back, Ronnie Harrison back, Anthony Schwartz back, and Mac Wilson not missing any time out there going through practice today with that shoulder injury, and that is great news because Mac is a guy who's had a heck of an offseason, a heck of a camp, and has really put himself in position to be a big player for the Browns in that linebacker room, and it sounds like they dodged a bullet, and I don't even think it was clear at the time of at 1:30 that he was going to be practicing today.
No, I thought he was just going to be a bystander, but he is right out there. He is in the middle of it right now, so good for him. 52, Elijah Lee. He did his thing the other night. He was flying around on special teams, and when he became part of the defense.
Yeah, and another guy who was flying around, Richard LeCounte, almost had 2 interceptions on the day, ended up with 1, and I caught up with him for today's exclusive one-on-one interview.
You're down. Got about 9 minutes.
Preseason opening win over the Jacksonville Jaguars, a man who never loses in Jacksonville from his days at Georgia, now to the Browns safety, Richard LeCounte. And Richard, how did it feel to get out there and get that first action?
It definitely felt great, man, being there. About 100, my family and close friends came down. My hometown's about an hour and a half away from Jacksonville, just seeing their smiling faces and, just coming back, from my injury and being in that stadium and feeling like myself. That was the great thing, I really felt, good and was out there having fun with my teammates, so it was a great time down there.
Was there something about being in a stadium that you had played in before that made it feel perhaps a little more comfortable than maybe an NFL debut normally would feel?
Oh, yeah, it definitely felt like, a home game back at home in high school, and all my friends and family was down there to support me, so it felt good, to be able to go out there and run around and do a little hitting.
So you go into the game. You guys have 3 safeties that are up for the whole game. So you knew you were going to play a lot, right? How excited was that knowing this isn't going to be a normal, I'm going to get a ton of opportunity here?
Right, man. I knew I was going to get the opportunity to, showcase my skills. I felt like I was well prepared. The coaching staff and all the veteran players helped me, get prepared for that game. And just the most important message from Coach, Jeff telling me, go out there and have fun and do what I always been doing. And, that's exactly what I did.
You seemed, at least from my vantage point, you carry yourself with a lot of confidence out there, and you got to be confident to play this game, right? Is that something you have a lot of self-belief? First team All-SEC, you're the captain at Georgia. I mean, those are big-time accolades, and carrying it here and seeing that out there. Is that right? Do I have that right about you?
Oh yeah, yes sir, definitely. I have a lot of confidence. A lot of self-talk and things that nature is incorporated in my life. I'm a firm believer of speaking positivity and things like that into myself and to the world. And once I be able to do that, I'm confident because I know, I study my playbook. I study the other team, so I can go out there and play as fast as I can and just, go out there and try to help the team win.
You played very fast. Actually, Pro Football Focus said he's the top-graded player on the Browns in the preseason opener. Let's talk about the first almost interception. Great break on the ball. You were right there, but did you know, hey, I'm going to get another one later on?
Oh, yeah. That's kind of something me and, John Johnson was talking about. Every time, you get a miss op, the guys that we stay around the ball, we knew I was gonna get another opportunity, and I knew I had to seize that moment when I was there, and just being in Cleveland, being around the Browns, facility and things like that. I just wanted, to show everybody that I belong here, and I'm here to stay, and I'm ready to, fly around and play some ball.
Now, I know doing some research on you back in high school, you were all state not only on the defensive side, but wide receiver as well. So I imagine that was one. Did your wide receiver coach from high school say, hey, man, come on, we got to be snagging those?
Oh, yeah, definitely, man. High point the ball, that was something that I heard a lot, from my high school coaches and things like that.
All right, you get another opportunity. You make the play. And by the way, it looked like you played a lot of offense once you got the ball in your hands there, making some moves in the open field. What was going through your mind on that one?
Score. And in the half, situational ball, being able to, give a chance to score before you go in the half, go up, some more points.
Now, you mentioned Coach Howard earlier, and he loves what you bring to the room, loves your confidence, loves kind of just the way you are, and the guys feed off of that. He said, what's kind of the biggest coaching point he's given you maybe going into that game and then even coming out of it after watching the film?
Oh, man, just relaxing, man. Just being able, me and him talk, countless numbers of hours, just being able to, hone in. And like I said, a lot of my self-talk, speaking more positivity in the life, he also did the same to me, just let me know that I'm still that same player, that they picked, and so that I need to come here and just relax and play ball like I always been doing, and that really gave me, a confidence booster, knowing that your coach is behind you, organization behind you, everything. You can just go out there, let loose, and do what you always been doing.
What I loved is, though, I saw how happy your teammates were for you. And that's when, as a rookie, you come in. It's weird, right? You go from being the captain of Georgia, and now you're here trying to fit in on this team. Obviously, you've done that pretty well. What did that mean to you to see everybody so fired up when you made those big plays?
Oh, yeah, definitely, man. That gave me, put a big smile on my face because I'm the same way whenever they make a play, if I knew them for 5 years, if I knew them for one day, you're my teammate, so I'm going to give everything I got for you, and I'm going to celebrate with you, So I was just glad to see those guys amped up and involved with me.
So I remember getting on the bus. Right. You come on the bus. You had the ball with you. Right. But then I saw you later. You didn't have the ball anymore. What'd you do with it?
I gave it to my mom. I gave the ball to my mom. My dad, they came down. It's kind of been a tough year for us, ever since, like I mentioned before, I got in my wreck last October. And that's, being in Jacksonville, and that Georgia-Florida game was the first game that I missed, and to be able to come there and, open back up, it was special. Felt like I didn't skip a beat.
It is special, and by the way, that's the only time they lost, so maybe you were the key to success right there for the Georgia Bulldogs. I want to go back to, you talked about that accident and how hard that was for you. What did you learn about yourself kind of in that time when, something that you loved for it, probably, I'm sure at times it felt like could be taken away?
Right, man. It was definitely a slow grind. The road to recovery was not definitely easy. You know what I'm saying? Just getting up every day, pain and aching and things like that, and knowing that I have to, drive myself to keep going. A big factor in that was probably my best friend, Raekwon McMillan. He's at the Patriots, and he's, that he's been a mentor to me. And every day that I got up, recovering, getting ready for my accident, he'd shoot me a little encouraging text, shoot me, making sure that I'm up and I'm around, because he is also. And that things like that definitely kept me up, kept my spirits up, and gave me a lot of energy and encouragement to keep going, man. And so, just knowing that I came from that and to remember it like it was yesterday, and everything that I had to do to get here, it's just been a blessing, man. And I thank God every day for giving me the ability, and definitely the second chance to be able to come out here and play this game that we all love.
Yeah, and I know how you went through that and how hard it was, and I knew you wanted to get back for that bowl game. And although you probably weren't physically all the way back, I know how much it meant to you to come out. That was one of the stories I read about you that I was like, wow, you wanted to make sure you ran out with your team at the bowl game, and you did that. What was that moment like for you, and what was kind of your teammates' reaction? Because I know they love you.
Oh, yeah, man. Just being out there with those guys, man, that's been something that was, nearest and dearest to my heart, just, all of the things that, athletes as a whole have to overcome. And I didn't feel like I was needed to opt out. I didn't, feel the need. I needed to go somewhere and train for the draft. I didn't do none of that. None of that. I think I needed to be there with my teammates and support my teammates, the same way that they support me whenever, I was down and I was out. And so that felt like, giving 100% to my team. That's something that I could do. And the whole time I was recovering, I was in the training room daily, being around those guys' smiling faces and being around the whole, University of Georgia staff that gave me, a lot of motivation to keep driving. And, even if I had to crawl out there, I was going to crawl out there with my team, and 100% behind me, because I know every time I go out there, they're with me. So I got to stay with them. I got their back just like they got mine.
So a lot of times when I'm talking to somebody, and it's the first time I get to talk to them, I always ask them, what's something you want Browns fans to know about you? I'm going to eliminate some of those things. Clearly, you love the team more than anything else. I think what you did, that story you just told, illustrates that. You're going to go out there, you're going to give it everything. So what's something you want them maybe to know about you, Richard LeCounte, the man?
That I'm definitely, I'm 1,000% committed to this Browns organization, and I do everything that I can, to help the team win. And that I belong, just like everybody else. I belong here, and I'm here to. I can't wait to win the Super Bowl.
Speak it into existence. You said a lot of positivity. You got to taste at the Orange and Brown scrimmage of what that stadium can be like. Well, now it's going to be packed. How excited are you to be in front of these fans? Because, a lot of the guys we talked to, you come from a big school in the SEC, Georgia, getting inside the hedges, and everybody, that event, that Saturday, that is what everybody cares about in Athens and really probably around the state of Georgia. No doubt. That's what Sundays are like in Cleveland. Have you gotten a feel for that it's got that kind of collegiate atmosphere?
Oh, yeah, man. Just see how many fans was definitely there for the practice, you know what I'm saying? And how much
Second 30.
Energy that they showed, it was raining, all the things that could have derailed those people from coming out and seeing their hometown team, that they didn't let it stop them. And I love that about the fans, the whole Cleveland being around here. It reminds me a lot of home. Just overcoming everything, having to do what you got to do to be successful, and that's something that I'm definitely excited to be a part of.
We're excited to have you, Richard. Thanks so much for the time. Great seeing you out there in Jacksonville, and looking forward to more this Sunday at First Energy Stadium.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it.
You're up.
I like that kid.
Boy, if I was Jacksonville, I'd love him too. He brought 100 family and friends to the game. 100 family and friends.
It wasn't a small percentage of the attendees.
Maybe after who was left in his hometown?
I was going to say I might have to reassess my 40% of the stadium, and since we know the LeCounte family had 100 tickets there for the game. But impressive kid, hard worker. I love at the end, he just gets Cleveland, right? He goes, this is a place where you've had to overcome and work for everything to be successful, and that's what he did. And, you think about, as you mentioned, pre-injury, your first team All-SEC, you're the captain at Georgia, you're feeling really good about yourself. There was a lot of talk that, this is a guy who's going to be a day two, late day one, maybe day two draft pick, and then you suffer this horrific injury. And, the next game on the schedule was in Jacksonville, was the Florida-Georgia game. To come back and then be able to have his mom there, give her the ball, the game ball that he intercepted. That's a pretty cool moment.
When you think about it, imagine that, Nathan, he probably went into the season and then he gets injured like that, and you automatically know that your draft stock plummets, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it really does. They had a kid the other night on the Jaguars, that kid from Syracuse, Cisco, the safety. He had a knee injury, he had an ACL tear, and a lot of people had him very high on the board. Maybe they did too with LeCounte as pre-draft guys that would go very high in the draft. And when you have an injury, and they're two very different kinds of injuries, but nevertheless, they're not playing, and they see their draft stock plummet down, that they're going to really have to fight their way just to get picked by a team, but then to make it through camp. And LeCounte put himself right on the map the other night.
He certainly did, and you heard him talk about kind of it's more than just the play race. He said, there was a tough time for my family.
Yeah.
And he was talking about his injury and what that, might mean for his family. And now I think he's making the most of his opportunities. The Browns getting set to do some work here. By the way, an interesting note we noticed earlier, Jim, Demetric Felton with the running backs in the position drills earlier today. So maybe this will be a week that'll work some time at running back. I think he checked all. Can you play slot receiver?
Yes.
Yes, as a matter of fact, I can do that. Looks like the Browns get into a little team period here for the defense, in case you were wondering. Joe Jackson, fresh off of his strong performance in Jacksonville, working at one defensive end. Porter Gustin working at the other for the Browns at linebacker. It looks like it's Malcolm Smith filling in for Mack Wilson, who probably won't be in any of the team periods, but was able to do individual work again. A great sign there for the Browns. We've got so much more to come here from the Cross Country Mortgage Campus. Nathan Zegura, the voice of the Browns. Jim Donovan, you're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily. All right, well, welcome back to Cleveland Browns Daily. Nathan Zegura, the voice of the Browns, Jim Donovan. Some NFL news. The Seahawks have made Jamal Adams the NFL's highest-paid safety in the league, 4 years, $70 million. He holds the record for most sacks in a single season by a defensive back in NFL history. He notched 9.5 a year ago. In 2019, he had 6.5, which was the 5th most ever by a defensive back. The Browns practicing right now here at the Cross Country Mortgage campus. Look like they're practicing some tempo. Very quick, right at the line of scrimmage, play after play after play. And that's something you think that could be an addition, right? You've got a lot of mouths to feed. How do you do that? Maybe add a few plays to the game. How do you do that? Play with some tempo, and you have the depth on offense at the skill positions and, frankly, on defense to be able to play with tempo. Because the risk is you play with tempo, you go 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, and all of a sudden your defense is on the field nonstop.
Yeah. Delpit in there right now. Good to see him out in the field. Ronnie Harrison has been out on the field. Demetric Felton looks very, very comfortable at running back. He is scoring in any position they send him out to.
He's a football player, as Kevin Stefanski
Yeah, he's
says.
a football player.
I
right.
love this quote from Demetric Felton. He was asked, do you have a preference on being a running back or wide receiver? And he said, my preference is to get the ball.
Yeah, and I can see why.
I think we all have that preference for a young Demetric right now. Yeah, this is great to see Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah and Grant Delpit on the field together right now for the Browns as they work this. Felton bouncing one the outside, and there's your guy, J.O.K.
Unbelievable.
He's just right there.
It's amazing.
Artists, send your proofs to Jim Donovan.
We're putting them up on the building soon.
That's right. Oh, what a pleasure. Reminder, tomorrow, Browns Live. Thursday, Browns Live. Friday, Browns Live. All the rest of the week here from the Cross Country Mortgage campus for Andrew Gribble, for Richard LeCounte, for our producer, Jason Gibbs, and the great voice of the Browns, Jim Donovan. I'm Nathan Zegura, reminding you to stay tuned for the next level, and thanks for listening to Cleveland Browns Daily.